Welcome to 10, the Tenant Experience Network. I'm your host, David Abrams. Today we are connecting with co-hosts of the new CRE Unplugged podcast, Nadine Ezzie, founder and president of Ezzie & Co., and Ryan Elazari, senior director at Empire Management. In this episode, we learn about Nadine and Ryan's journey to commercial real estate and how they got started in the business. Nadine is an attorney and made her way to CRE, serving as in-house counsel for an industrial developer. Through LinkedIn, she was then presented with the perfect opportunity to join a PropTech startup, heading up its customer success team. Nadine headed to Boston to be employee number 5 of a company that automated the drafting of commercial lease agreements for institutional organizations across the country. This gave Nadine a first-hand view into the legal departments of big companies, and after 4 years, she left to establish Ezzie & Co., an all-in-one CRE legal and advisory firm using innovation and technology to serve her clients. Ryan, a returning guest on 10, was born and raised in New York City, found his way to CRE as an associate at Empire Management. He continued his education in the field, which led to a promotion to senior director of the firm, participating in development and acquisition projects. We learn how Nadine and Ryan hit it off when they first met. Their friendship and connection have led them to collaborate as hosts of a new podcast, the aptly named CRE Unplugged, Innovation from the Streets to the Skyline. They have a lot of passion to go with their ambitious mission to not only be informative and educational, but to add a welcome dose of humor as well. Ryan shares how his company is staying ahead of the curve to deliver a great experience to Empire's customers. Nadine shares her aspirations of what she would like to bring to her business that has the potential to be transformative. We explore how customer experience is becoming a significant driver of tenant engagement and how this phenomenon is impacting the industry. I'm excited that the team at Hilo has had the opportunity to sponsor and assist with the launch of CRE Unplugged, and can't wait to see how Nadine and Ryan bring it to life. We are excited to share this podcast with you, so be sure to subscribe to 10 so you never miss an episode of the Tenant Experience Network. And now I'd like to welcome Nadine and Ryan to the show. Ryan, a repeat offender, really glad you could be with us, and I'm looking forward to today's conversation. So to the both of you, to help kickstart our program today, I'd love to hear about your journey to your current positions and role. How did you each get started? Let's begin with Nadine.
Awesome. Well, David, thank you so much for having us. I'm so happy to be here. So my journey, I always tell folks, is a bit non-linear and a bit all over the place, but as I meet more folks within our fine industry, it seems to be that that's a bit more of the norm. I am an attorney by trade. I hail from the tropical town of Canton, Ohio. I did my undergraduate studies in Pittsburgh at Duquesne University, and then did law school at Cleveland State University, where I then practiced law for about 15 years. Always had my eye on that in-house general counsel seat. I think I just knew early on that I wanted to be inside of an organization and part of that ecosystem. Right. So I was very fortunate to land a coveted role as general counsel for an industrial developer out in Cleveland, Ohio. And they were getting ready to embark on a huge 15-year project to quadruple the size of their operating portfolio. And I was a legal department of one. So I very immediately learned the lessons of lean operations and the critical role of processes and procedures and standardization. And I loved it. And I loved it. It was there though, that I got my first kind of front row seat to just kind of the inefficiencies that are inherent in our industry, which was in no way unique to that organization, right? It was, I worked with many organizations, and for some reason, I wanted to be part of building something. That's all I knew. I knew in that role as an attorney that I really wouldn't be able to get really far in terms of the solution. So this is going to seem like quite the leap, but I knew I wanted to stay in the industry, and I knew wanted to be part of building something. That's all I knew. Okay. I had no idea where that job was going to come from. One day on LinkedIn, there was this prop tech company out here in Boston where I live now. And there was this big job description. It said director of customer success. And in all caps, it said real estate attorneys only apply, but this is not an attorney role.
Wow.
I'm looking around like, okay, who's listening to me? And it was funny because this company had actually targeted me as a prospect, and I kept blowing off the demo. I'm too
Right.
busy to learn how to save time. I know. I get the irony in it. Trust me. I reached out to them, and the rest is history. And so I was employee number 5,
Mm.
sold everything I had in Cleveland, the house, the car, the furniture, and took a leap and
Mhm.
came out here to Boston to be employee number 5 for this prop tech company, and was head of their customer success team. I had no idea what customer success meant. Uh,
Right.
to be honest with you, I read that job description and I was like, you know what? I still don't know what this job is about, but I'm going to take it. That's all I knew. And it was a fantastic product that automated the drafting of commercial lease agreements for institutional owners across the country. And so I had the good luck of working with fantastic organizations across the country, specifically with their in-house legal departments and leasing departments, helping them standardize their leasing, onboarding them onto our platform. And it was there, after onboarding so many customers, I started seeing a pattern. And I
Right.
went in with this assumption, right, David? I was like, oh, these are some of the most sophisticated owners across the country, right? That are building some of the most sophisticated assets. And I went in with the assumption, I was like, surely their operations will mirror that. And again, I am in no way mean to offend anyone,
Mhm.
but I saw that their legal departments were leaps and bounds behind in terms of understanding the critical role of standardization and process optimization and the use of technology. And there was a theme. And once I worked with these teams, though, and they overcame that hurdle, right? With change management and whatnot, I could see the benefits to them, the time that was being saved. And these attorneys over and over again, and these leasing agents were like, I never want to go back to the
Right.
old doing things. So a light bulb went off in my head, David. I was like, there's something here. There's a need. There's an extraordinary benefit from getting folks over that hurdle, but there's a really big gap right now that not a lot of folks are addressing in how to get folks from point A to point B. And what helped me was that I was general counsel. So I had this immediate credibility, right?
Right.
For their friends. They immediately, I could say to them, I was in your seat. I understand your pain and understand the source of your hesitation, but you got to trust me, and here's why. So anyway, I was with that organization for 4 years, and January of 22, I left, and I decided to do something I always said I'd rather eat glass than doing, and that was starting my own firm. I guess
Right.
it's a matter of timing. And so I opened an all-in-one CRE legal and advisory firm, which is what I am doing today.
Okay.
Back to practicing law, which is something that I didn't think that I would be doing, but I'm doing it my way, using innovation, using technology where appropriate, to be able to serve my clients. And I also have an advisory and consulting business as well, in which I work with these same types of organizations who are looking to redesign their internal operations in order to drive efficiencies, and also make recommendations to them as well as it relates to the adoption of technology. So that's
Right.
where I am today.
Wow. In a nutshell, awesome. Well, a great journey, and interesting to see how sort of you've taken a couple of twists and turns, but you're back practicing again, and yet still deeply embedded in the prop tech world. We'll talk
Yeah.
more about that. Ryan, let's hear from you and share with us sort of how you got into this industry and a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, David, thanks for having me again on your podcast. It's really was a pleasure last time. And I have a very different background than Nadine. Being raised in Manhattan, no offense, Nadine and David, I've enjoyed living in one of the most amazing business centers in the world,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to real estate. So, if you're a developer, designer, contractor, there's so many opportunities here. And I've been lucky enough to have those opportunities, in front of me. So once I graduated George Washington University, I pursued so many different positions. One was being a compliance analyst for Bank of New York. It was a great experience. It gave me a lot of knowledge and perspective about the banking world, but I really realized at the end of the day that real estate was my ultimate passion.
Right.
So I was soon hired for Empire Management as an associate. Empire Management is a private real estate firm. We're based out of New York City, and we oversee a portfolio of over 1,600 multifamily apartments and over 500,000 square feet of office and retail. So I began to understand the work and got inspired to go back to school and pursue my master's of science in real estate at Baruch College to really understand real estate in a more structural way. So once I graduated from the program, I was promoted to senior director at the firm, and as an asset manager, began working directly with the executives of the firm to collaborate on future acquisitions and development projects within our portfolio.
Amazing. Well, and it is through our connection through Empire and our company Hilo that you and I were fortunate to connect, and we've been collaborating for quite some time. And again, it's great to have you back on the program. You know, since launching our podcast, we've always strived to provide a real-time view into what is going on in the commercial real estate industry. You know, without the bias and often those polarizing proclamations from the extreme positions on both sides of the ongoing conversation around the future of work. You know, we believe that we're now at a point in time where the conversation should just be about doing great work, and how places and spaces can be used to allow people to really build great companies. So today I'm really interested in discussing how commercial real estate will continue to evolve to meet people's needs, and more importantly, how technology can further enhance both that in-person experience and the remote virtual experience. So let's dive in to both of you. Just, you know, the two of you are embarking upon a new project. Love to just understand how you two met, and then a little bit of, you know, what was the genesis behind this new collaboration and the launch of CRE Unplugged.
Awesome. Well, David, I'll take the first half of that. Thank you. So Ryan and I are both members of NAIOP. For those of you that aren't familiar with NAIOP, it's Commercial Real Estate Development Association. And we both sit on a national forum, which is the Technology in the Built Environment Forum. So think of us as a think tank, brain trust, where we meet twice a year with other fantastic folks from the industry and discuss all things technology and how folks are using technology within their portfolios. And we see demos of great, you know, up and coming products and whatnot. And, you know, we were at a dinner and Ryan and I were seated next to each other and we started chatting, and, you know, there was this immediate kinship. I right. felt as though I was talking to my brother. Like Ryan being from glorious Manhattan and I being from Canton, Ohio, we actually had a lot in common in regards to our backgrounds and our upbringings, you know, and whatnot. And I felt like I was talking to a longtime friend. Right. At that point, you know, and we started talking about our observations in the industry, our own kind of paths, as we had just shared with all of you. And I just shared with Ryan that I had just launched my own little podcast at the time. And his eyes just lit up. He's like, "Oh my God, Nadine, I have wanted to do a podcast so long." Yeah. I was like, and it just, you know, we're going back and forth. And the one thing that I said to Ryan, I go, "Ryan, it is so important to me that whatever I do just has a human-centered element of authenticity in it, because that's the center of our industry, right?" Mm-hmm. You know, and I think that's so much of your guys' philosophy at Hilo as well. Is spaces for people, right? To you know, create these experiences. And I shared that with him, and we couldn't stop talking from there. And I actually think I'll let Ryan take it from there as well as how we got to the idea of our podcast.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, the reality is we both realize that CRE is very siloed and how it operates. So, you know, we decided that we wanted to do this podcast so we can change that. We want to provide critical and up-to-date information in a whole new way. So we want to bridge CRE and PropTech with people that are designed to serve through informative, accessible, and dare we say, humorous conversations between developers, entrepreneurs, owner-occupiers, and other key players. We want to make it light. So our goal is really to increase the access and understanding to CRE and PropTech to a broad and diverse audience, representing the occupiers of the built world. Mm-hmm. So we are very passionate about real estate technology and innovation, and it's our mission to really usher this new era of commercial real estate that Nadine and I talk about all the time.
Very cool. Well, listen, having done this myself now, this is season number 5. You guys are kicking off season 5 for us, so thank you. It is a lot of fun. It's an amazing way to meet people. It's an amazing way to continue the conversation. So I wish you guys the best of luck. We'll talk a little bit more about your new podcast, but in the interim, I would just love to talk a little bit more about what we're seeing today in our industry. So Ryan, your day job in commercial real estate. Can you share with our listeners sort of how your business is continuing to evolve and innovate to meet the needs of your customer? What factors are driving or influencing the direction that you're taking?
At Empire, we are committed at staying at the forefront of the industry by continually evolving and innovating to meet the changing needs of our tenants and business. So there are several factors that are driving and influencing the direction we are taking. So first and foremost, we are investing in advanced tools and platforms, such as high-low, virtual property tours, AI-driven property insights, and online transaction processes. We also realize that with the growing emphasis of decarbonization, especially in New York with Local on 97, we wanted to incorporate retrofit practices to reduce the carbon footprint in all of our properties. So we've undertaken mechanical and system upgrades and integrated building controls within the regulatory standards in New York City. Lastly, we decided that, data is king, and we wanted to leverage data and analytics to the best of our ability. So we started analyzing market trends, tenant preferences, and other relevant data to make really important decisions and streamline our portfolio.
Well, that you've literally, if I had a checklist of all the things you ought to be doing, I think you nailed all of them, which is pretty impressive. And I think you'll agree that it's an amazing time to be in our industry. It's just full of so many opportunities to think differently and do different, sort of take different approaches to how we conduct business, how we engage with our customers, our tenants. You can either sort of put your head in the sand, or you can, lean in and really take the bulls by the horn. And there's an awful lot of opportunity. And it sounds like you guys are taking advantage of that. And it sounds like as a result, your business, is moving forward, whereas others, perhaps their businesses are either holding pat or going backwards. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think we'll go and talk about this in later on when we're diving into our podcast, but we do feel that there's such a hesitancy to change, especially with legacy owners.
Right.
And it's time for us to make them feel comfortable and take that leap and want to move forward and realize that in order for them to advance and be competitive, they need to take on these technological advancements and adopt it into their portfolio in order for them to become successful. There's no ways around it, especially with the advancement of AI. It's really critical now to reach that point where you have to say to yourself, okay, we need technology and we need to incorporate it now.
Right. Well, listen, I think if you're still noodling around sort of what the mission is of your podcast, you may have just landed on it. The whole notion of really trying to be, a catalyst to the industry, to encourage change, to foster change, to facilitate change, and for those that are perhaps sitting back still to recognize, it's either change or I'm not sure what. But it's not good. So good for you. Nadine, if budget and resources were not an issue, what 3 new initiatives would you undertake to position your current business for success over the next 3 to 5 years?
David, I love this question so much. Being a solo operation, I don't get to think of that often. But that being said, as I had said, I have 2 unique businesses. I have a commercial real estate legal firm, and I have my consulting business. One thing I would love to do on the legal side for my legal clients, who typically are tenants and landlords, I would love to have a self-serve portal where they can have access to forms, templates, resources, and materials that also is designed elegantly. I've really come to appreciate over the last few years in my tenure in tech, that design, UX, user experience, and UI, user interface, matter tremendously when it
Yep.
comes to user adoption. So I would love to have a self-service portal where my clients can just come in and help themselves, so to speak. Be able to
Right.
educate themselves and empower themselves. I think that really is a theme that I would love to see more in our industry. Something else that I like to do, flipping to the other side of my business, which is my consulting business, I work a lot as it relates to workplace strategy. So I'm teaming up with a lot of folks that are focusing a lot on the workplace strategy as it relates to the physical space. And what I mean by
Right.
that is a lot of folks today are thinking, how much space do we actually need?
Mm-hmm.
How do we wish to use it? I'm sure you guys are having these conversations a lot,
Yep.
David. And I'm coming in and kind of helping with that on the operations side, right? Assisting in how we can design operations and incorporate technology to support that, right? I would love to, honestly, and this is a big one, I'd love to design an app that kind of helps support the discovery and design phase of that, right? Again, where people can kind of just come in and answer some questions and be able to almost kind of see the design, right, of how their operations should come to life before
Right.
them. Another one. And again, I think you're going to see a theme here. But
Yep.
I'd love to see phenomenal technology that can empower folks.
Yep.
Third one, I think I'm going to call it media. And here's what I mean by that. The built environment, it is critical. It is everywhere. Nobody can escape it. You're either an occupier, you're an owner, whether you're a tenant, whether you go to work in an office, whatever it may be. But it really, I don't know if saddens is the right word, but people don't know enough about it. They don't understand it, right? It's so abstract to so many people. And I actually think it's so critical that I want to see people understand it more. And so I think the topic is something that should be reported on no differently than the news. And honestly, in a very accessible kind of format. So, I don't know. I'd love to see some type of, in addition to our podcast, some type of video production, something that is constantly reporting to everybody, not
Yes.
just the founders of tech, not just, us talking to each other, but the folks that are actually out there so that folks can really have a healthy understanding of commercial real estate and how it operates.
It's interesting because in the absence, they only have those media proclamations of those extreme positions,
Exactly.
which is just really to create news and not necessarily really helpful at times. So, and you're right. I mean, let's remember that commercial real estate is the largest asset class in the world. It represents such a significant, value contribution, and such an important place where people do spend time. So interesting idea around, how media could be more, I guess, instrumental in reporting on the importance. Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Yeah. Future conversation. So we've just laid some groundwork for some future product development opportunities. I think we can both all agree that building owners and operators are no longer in the space business, right? We're not just about renting space. But rather we need to create destinations of choice. And the list of attributes that will directly impact how we are able to bring people into these buildings continues to increase. And it really boils down to the common denominator is really all about experience, the experience that people are having in buildings. And it's more akin to, if we look at the cross section of commercial real estate, the industry, it's really all about hospitality. That industry understood that they needed to earn the loyalty of their customer, each and every day. So if customer experience has become such a significant driver of utilization and engagement across all asset classes, Ryan, I'm just curious how you think that phenomenon is either affecting your business today or will into the future.
I can't tell you how many times I've had this conversation with people, especially in our NAIOP forum. The way buildings are, being used has changed so much. People really want an experience, and now owners have to focus on providing that experience to be enjoyable. So there's a shift between how people feel about a place and how really important and how much they use it. and no matter what type of building it is, right? So we focused on tenant satisfaction. We know that it's such a key element in retaining occupants and attracting new ones. So we've integrated technology such as providing efficient security systems and digital platforms to enhance communication and facility management.
Right.
Also, we created a sense of community within our buildings because we thought, that's really essential. So we've organized events, fostered networking opportunities, and really encouraged collaboration among tenants.
Yeah. Well, I think again, the skill sets that are required, and we'll talk a little bit about this in our later on, that are required to really create these dynamic, exciting, compelling real estate, spaces. The list of requirements is changing. It's not just, only operational. There are so many other aspects. I think we're going to continue to see a lot of evolution in that, going forward. Let's take a short commercial break and we will be right back.
This episode of 10 is proudly brought to you by Hilo. Hilo is a rapid deployment workplace engagement platform for the hybrid world that enables building operators to connect to their tenants, whether they are at work, at home, or anywhere in between. We are in the midst of a seismic shift in the evolution of the workplace. Now more than ever, it's clear that the most important asset of a building is the people. Commercial real estate leaders recognize that tenants and employees want new kinds of spaces, services, and amenities to support having the flexibility to work from anywhere. Workplace engagement solutions that connect hybrid working people to buildings no matter where they are have become a major differentiator as buildings compete to retain current tenants and attract new ones. Hilo empowers building operators to meet this challenge. To learn more about Hilo and schedule a demo, visit hiloapp.com.
And now I'd like to welcome back to the show Nadine and Ryan of the soon-to-be-launched CRE Unplugged podcast. So commercial real estate continues to be impacted by the introduction of new technologies that are playing such a significant role in shaping how building operators deliver great customer experience to their tenants. Nadine, I'm curious, as the commercial real estate industry technology stack continues to develop and provide, operational efficiencies, but at the same time directly impact how people interact with their spaces and places in and around their building, how do you think your new podcast will help the industry to move faster and smarter?
Awesome. Well, David, I have to say the biggest challenge I see and hear when I meet folks in our industry is they struggle to not only keep up with the pace at which technology is transforming our industry, but also truly comprehend and understand and appreciate the benefits and use cases available. So what are an already extraordinarily busy days for everybody in the industry, finding the time to do their own research is incredibly daunting and tedious.
Right.
So our goal with me and Ryan is to cut through all the noise and provide relevant information in an accessible and, as Ryan had already mentioned, dare we even say enjoyable manner. So one of the biggest bottlenecks we see to the adoption of technology is specifically in our industry is a fear of change, of the status quo. And again, where does fear typically come from? If we're not fully understanding a situation or appreciating the benefits of such adoption. So we're going to address that fear head on by simplifying and breaking down what stakeholders, end users, and decision makers should know in order to empower them. Again, this is a theme that really matters to us, to make the decisions that are not only in the best interest of their organizations and their employees, but their tenants and occupiers as well.
Amazing. Well, I'm very excited about your new program. I'm looking forward to providing assistance in any way that I can to help get the word out and to help bring this wonderful conversation to the market. I think you guys are going to be great. I think there's going to be a lot of value in coming together and engaging with the community. And I wish you a lot of success in doing so. Our closing speed round, an opportunity to gain a little bit more insight from each of you, get to know each of you a little bit better. I'll let you decide who would like to respond to each of the following questions. Looking back, what is the one piece of advice you wish someone had given you when you were first starting your career?
I would say network with as many people as you can. Real estate, for better for worse, is a relationship business, and making the right connections can tremendously impact and propel your career.
Agree 100%. Do you have a favorite book or podcast? Can't be CRE Unplugged yet. It's not gone live. Favorite book or podcast that has positively impacted your approach to work and life?
Well, the Prof G podcast has really taken such a positive approach to my work and life by offering a wealth of knowledge, insights, and perspectives and advice from a really successful NYU professor and entrepreneur. Scott Galloway has, discussed business strategies, technology insights, strategic thinking, and life perspectives, which really has played a pivotal role in shaping my mindset and influencing my day-to-day activities. I highly recommend taking a look.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Name one way in which technology has improved how you live or work.
I'm going to take that one. So as a solar operator, tools like Canva, Loom, HubSpot, and LinkedIn are phenomenal. And they've allowed me to operate and create content, honestly, no differently than a large scale organization. They've become truly indispensable to me,
right,
and help me create what I think is a real competitive edge.
Right. Amazing. What factors do you consider when deciding where to work on any given day?
So I'm going to take that one as well, David. And I might be a little controversial in this one. I've learned that aesthetics matter to me. My environment matters to me tremendously. And so I work in my home office and I curated it for me. There's artwork on the walls. There's natural materials, textiles. I have music. And so that matters to me. I'm sorry to any owners and operators out there, but I do not do my best work in a traditional office environment because I find that it stifles my creative side, which I find is just as critical to assisting my logical side. So if I'm not working in my home office, which, is designed specifically for me, you'll find me in hotel lobbies around Boston, or the Boston Public Library, which was one of my favorite buildings in the city. Anywhere that just kind of can give me that aesthetic, right, of beauty and calm and order. So, yeah.
Well, listen, I think what we're seeing is homes become more work-like, office-like, and we're seeing offices becoming more home-like. Yeah. And I think that blend, is going to create a lot of opportunity. And there's no one place to be. And I think you're going to find yourself, probably traversing between different locations and different settings, and meet your needs on any given day. So I don't think anyone should be offended by that. I think that is where the industry needs to be where we need to be thinking. As commercial real estate continues to evolve, what skills, and I alluded to this earlier, do you think will become sought after by building operators in order to remain vibrant and relevant? So, not just the person that knows how to make the mechanical system work, but what other skills do you think we're going to be looking for?
David, I really love this question because I think there's a few skills out there that will be in high demand in 2024 and beyond.
Okay.
First, I would say regulatory compliance knowledge. I think it's so important to know what's going on in the local and national regulations. Cybersecurity awareness, as real estate becomes more digitally connected, especially with the advancement of AI, building operators need to be aware of cybersecurity threats and implement measures to protect the sensitive data and smart building systems from potential breaches. And lastly, flexibility. Operators must be flexible to market conditions and technological advancements. I strongly believe that it's essential to be flexible in your approach and the ability to embrace innovation. I'm sure you would agree, David.
I totally agree. I listened to another podcast, and the gentleman, talked about, sort of empowering their people and allowing them, the opportunity, the authority to make decisions and to be flexible in their thinking as to how they make these decisions, but to be also understand that, mistakes will happen and that's not the issue. But empowering people to give them the opportunity to think creatively, to think flexibly, to bring new solutions to the table, it's critical. So I do agree. This last question, I'm going to put you both on the spot. I'm going to ask both of you. If you were not doing what you're doing right now, what would you be doing instead?
as much as I love what I'm doing today, my days would probably be spent somewhere seaside, writing, painting, cooking, and taking super long walks with my dog Leo. And then my evenings would be spent at open mic nights working on my stand-up comedy routine.
See that come in the last second. You dumped that one on us. There's stand-up comedy at heart. Wow.
I actually took an 8-week class, Intro to Stand-Up Comedy at Improv Boston, just before COVID. And I was doing open mic nights, and then COVID hit. And it's something that I would really like to get back to now.
All right. Well, I look forward to diving into that deeper, maybe on another episode or next time we connect. Ryan, what about you?
Well, first I want to say Nadine and I we should start thinking about doing like an off-Broadway show, Ryan and Nadine Unplugged.
Yeah, we're taking it on the road.
Okay.
Sports is such a huge passion of mine, so
right.
I would probably work my way up to become a general manager of a sporting franchise. That would be the ultimate dream for me.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, listen, Ryan, Nadine, thank you so much for joining me on the program today. Obviously, Ryan, great to reconnect, and Nadine, nice to continue to build our relationship. Looking forward to supporting you in the launch of your new podcast, and just great success in continuing this conversation around technology and commercial real estate and helping our industry to move forward, and just unleash all the potential that I still believe exists in our industry. So thank you again. Thanks for coming on the show. Great luck going forward with your program, and let's continue the conversation in the future.
Thank you so much, David.
Okay.
Thank you, David.
Take care. I want to thank Nadine and Ryan for joining me on this episode of 10 and for contributing to the global conversation around buildings being part of a robust ecosystem, helping to build great companies, and that they are vital in the effort to cultivate and support great people and teams. The future of the workplace will likely take many forms, and we will continue to explore what that looks like together. Subscribe to 10 for more conversations with leading CRE industry professionals and experts who all have something to say about tenant experience and the future of the workplace. We love hearing from you, so if you enjoyed this episode of 10, please share, add your rating, and review us through your preferred podcast provider. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on a future episode, please reach out to me directly at david@hiloapp.com. And until our next episode, I wish you all continued success in building community where you work and live. Thank you.